Yo, 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 what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking, all right? Shout out to everybody that is in the building early. It's good to see you guys. If you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me, give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody who is in the building early, all right? We got Miss Nisi in the house. We got DSB in the building. We got Deneen Grant. Shout out to my man DSB for the off-the-rip ducats. Definitely appreciate it. Make sure y'all show him some love. Throw some flames in the chat for DSB. Definitely appreciate it. All right. We got Volvo 2 Love in the building, and we got my man Iron Will in the house. All right. Shout out to y'all. Please make sure you guys take a moment. Smash that like button if you haven't. It's extremely important. Please make sure you guys share the stream to your social media. And if you are not subscribed to all of my social media, please take a moment. Make sure you guys subscribe to all my social media, including my Rumble account. Okay. Make sure that you guys do that. So we're going to talk about some things that are going on in Chicago. All right. Shout out to Adreno. I hope I said that right. Adrenio. I hope I said that right. Stafford. Shout out to you, bro. Welcome to the stream. All right. The 60-day eviction notices are coming in Chicago. That means that the migrants ain't got to go home, but they got to get up out of the shelters. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of people are worried that is going to cause issues. They believe that it's going to increase the crime in the streets. It's going to increase the congestion in the streets. It's going to put a strain on more public resources. And it's also going to put a strain on the shelter system ×2, because all of those people getting evicted are all going to try to get back into the shelters. Shout out to Sybil. What's good with it, bro? All right, so let's get it. We're going to take a look at this, and then we're going to move on to the next thing, all right?
We are 1 week away from the city of Chicago starting to enforce its 60-day shelter limit for migrants. New York City is enforcing similar measures. The process hasn't always gone smoothly, and it is controversial. Migrants say finding new housing has caused extra stress as they do things like search for steady jobs or get their kids settled in schools. Here at home, there is a growing concern about the eviction plan, and more than a dozen aldermen are trying to stop it. CBS 2's Maribel Gonzalez live for us at the city's so-called landing zone for migrants tonight. Maribel.
So now, again, let me ask you guys this question. With all the issues that they're having in Chicago with the migrant crisis, not being able to provide enough resources and all of this stuff, why would anybody want to stop the 60-day eviction plan? Does that make any sense? Shout out to Ty Valentine and shout out to Tony Taylor. What's good with y'all? Does that make any sense? Make that make sense.
Yeah, Joe, the concern that these older people and some of these volunteers share is that if this plan is enforced, the eviction plan, hundreds of migrants will have nowhere to go, some of them ending up in the street or right back here at the landing zone in these city buses, only to have to wait to be placed into shelter once again. For volunteers who...
Now, again, here goes my question for you guys. These people, when they came to the United States, they knew that they could possibly run into these kind of issues. My question for you guys is, why is it on the city of Chicago to provide this for them? And why is it expected that the taxpayers pay the bill? Very poor judgment, if you ask me. Very poor judgment. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to you guys. I appreciate you all being here. We got 24 live viewers and we got 16 likes. If everybody could bang on that like button and get us to 30, that would be great.
Work with asylum seekers in Chicago.
Our concerns is that there's not really a plan, or if the city has a plan, they're not telling us.
Time.
Shout out to DeAndre. What's good with it, bro?
By delaying informing everyone is causing crisis level concern and anxiety from people in the shelters. It's causing volunteers to scramble.
The question on their mind is what will happen on February 1st?
February 1st is the day. So you guys can expect there's definitely going to be a stream on February 1st. You know what I'm saying? Now, they paid that company, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Favorite Staffing or something like that. They paid them $90 million. That place should be operating smoothly at optimum capacity, paying that much money. They should be providing discharge plans. There should be discharge planning, right? If they're going to be doing all this. But again, I believe that the people of Chicago should have a choice in whether their taxpayer dollars goes to this or not. To me, this is not fair. And as you guys see, there's a lot of people in Chicago who are extremely upset with this. And what's interesting about it is that the mainstream media, some of the mainstream media, the left-wing mainstream media, is pretty much doing a media blackout on this. They're not really discussing this at all. Yeah, shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre said, yeah, especially since the housekeepers are getting $62,000 a month. Facts. $62,000 a month. Let me ask you guys a question. How many of you all would like to have a job where you make $62,000 a month? If you guys would like that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would not like that, give me a thumbs down. The only place that I know that's paying like that, OnlyFans, and if you got a YouTube channel that's popping. You know what I'm saying? Aside from that, I'm not too sure. You know what I'm saying?
The current deadline by which hundreds of migrants staying in city shelters will have to leave them. This is part of Mayor Brandon Johnson's policy to limit shelter stays, first announced in November and since extended twice due to weather concerns.
With all of their stuff,
Wong says around 1,900 people, including families, have received 60-day notices and could be evicted if it is enforced.
There isn't much of a plan in place for folks who don't have a place to live.
Now, 16 older people.
Yeah, that's facts. Shout out to Deneen. Deneen says Chicago residents will have services cut so their tax dollars can be used to migrants. Yeah, that's facts. And shout out to you guys for hitting that 5X combo. The idea is to get that number as high as you guys possibly can. Shout out to you guys for getting that 5X combo. All right, definitely appreciate it. That's great. All right, so yeah, I gotta agree with Deneen. Chicago residents will have services cut so that their tax dollars can be used for migrants. Now, I don't recall if you guys, I don't know if you guys recall, but we did a stream where we talked about the patterns of people moving out of a lot of these blue states. There's a lot of people leaving Illinois, even more so leaving Chicago as a result of all of this. Now, let me ask you guys a question. In the near future, if any of this doesn't change, do you think that people will continue to stay in Chicago, or do you think that Chicago is eventually going to implode and for the most part everybody's going to move out? Let me know what you think.
Urging the city of Chicago to rescind the shelter stay limits in a letter.
Shout out to Patricia Slade, B1.
Alderperson Andre Vasquez, chair of the Committee on Immigrant and Refugee Rights, leading that request.
I think the city feels like there's a very real pressure of having limited funds in their view, and not enough to sustain for even the whole year, which is leading to decisions about what to do as far as capacity for the new folks who are coming as well.
Vasquez says the evictions could mean people on the streets or back at the landing zone where new arrivals are waiting in city buses for shelter space to open up.
to uproot everyone from where they are to the landing zone, back to theoretically another shelter spot, seems like a waste of resources. We have not gotten rid of our stockpile of tents because we're concerned that we will go back to needing to house people on the sidewalk or outside unless something changes.
Now, at an event late tonight, Mayor Brandon Johnson was asked about these looming evictions, and while he did not directly address those concerns, he did have something to say on the matter.
Let me ask you guys a question. Does Brandon Johnson ever directly address any concerns? Has anybody ever seen an interview where Brandon Johnson actually answers the questions that he's asked? Has anybody ever seen that? Exactly. Facts. Shout out to Iron Will. All these politicians act like there's no way to send these people back. And we saw them send the Haitians back. We all saw that. None of us are crazy. We all saw that. And when we saw that, we questioned it. And when we questioned it, it was ignored because they had no valid answer for it. And now these people are here and they just continue to keep coming. And they just, you know, they act like they don't know what to do. They act like they're starstruck and spellbound, you know?
Take a listen.
How many more shelters am I going to be asked to open? I mean, 27 shelters. We have literally built an entire infrastructure for an international crisis that.
You see how Brandon Johnson's sweating? You see the sweat on the side of his head? His blood pressure high as hell. I'm not trying to be funny. I don't even like Brandon Johnson, but I don't want to see nobody really, you know what I mean? Like nothing bad happen to nobody. He having anxiety attacks all like that. Man, he need to do something. Like that job is probably too stressful for him. You know what I'm saying? Homeboy probably needs to get up out of there. For real, for real. They don't, and they won't care if he just falls out and dies. The Democrats, they don't care. I think he might actually be starting to realize that. Now, is he going to say anything? Is he going to open his mouth? Is he actually going to stand up? Remains to be seen. But it's too late. Look at all the damage that he already caused. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tarek. What's good with it, bro? See, this is the problem right here. This kind of stuff right here, this is the problem.
Congress hasn't figured out. I stand on the work that we've done in this city.
Now, we're told that some of the migrants who have received those 60-day notices, they've received housing vouchers. However, the volunteers tell us that's only a small.
Yeah, I got to agree. I got to agree with Deneen. If you guys haven't seen the last 3 live streams that I did on my other channel, I'd advise people to go and check those out because those specifically talk about the barbed wire and court rulings. Also on the channel called Undocumented. Make sure you guys check out the videos over there. But Deneen says Supreme Court advocated for cutting down barbed wire at the southern border. Now we know that this is supported by both sides. Another thing that this is starting to expose is that, quote unquote, when it comes to the United States and when it comes to political parties and politics and all that, it seems like there's more than just 2 sides starting to develop, doesn't it? What it's starting to look like is that a lot of things are splintered in a lot of different places. You got unusual alliances. Anytime there's unusual alliance, if you ask me, that is the precursors of a catastrophe. You know what I'm saying? That is the precursors of a catastrophe. Shout out to everybody watching. We got 29 people watching and we got 21 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button and get us to 40, that'd be great. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to check out this clip from News Nation. And shout out to my man Lunch. What's good with it? And this clip from News Nation goes into what they expect what they expect to possibly happen as a result of these chaotic migrant shelter evictions. All right. A lot of people are worried that this is going to cause a lot of chaos and havoc on the street, probably rightfully so. All right. So let's check this out and see what's going on.
Cities all across America are inundated with an influx of migrants in search of food, shelter, healthcare, education, and the cities are really struggling to keep up. New York City is now enforcing a 30-day shelter limit for immigrant families. Chicago adopting a similar solution. The Windy City's 60-day shelter limit has been pushed back twice because of bitter cold temperatures. But come February 1st, the process to evict more than 14,000 migrants currently living in the city's shelters will begin. Those evictions will come in waves, hundreds at a time. But people living in New York are warning officials in Chicago of the chaos these evictions could bring. Let's bring in William Hall, alderman for Chicago's 6th Ward, who is pushing for more federal resources and policy to try to handle this border crisis. Alderman, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. Obviously, this has been such a contentious issue here in the city. What do you think Chicago's migrant situation is going to look like starting a week from today?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me. Thank you for this moment to have the conversation. I think what we're witnessing in Chicago, and we've seen it all across the country, especially in places like New York, what we're seeing is a failed border policy as a result of a Congress that is simply playing.
Shout out to you guys for throwing those unsustainable emojis into the chat. Yeah. You guys see DeAndre? Shout out to DeAndre. Shout out to you, James Hudson. What's good with it, bro? See Miss Nisi Anytime you guys hear the word unsustainable in regards to the migrant crisis, I want you guys to fill the chat with those no emojis. Okay? Because you guys are, now that we're deep into this, you're gonna start hearing that a lot more. And facts, and that's how you know. Remember, Deneen, that's exactly how you know. Shout out to you, Lloyd Skyline. What's good with you, bro? That's how you know. Pushing for federal resources means that they just want to make it easy and livable for the people who are there. Okay? Pushing for federal resources. That's what that means. Unless you hear them talking about border security or controlling the influx of people coming into the border, or if you hear them talking about secure the border, if they're not talking about any of those things, then what they're talking about is they want to make their job easier assimilating the migrants. Federal resources are not for sending people back. Federal resources are for making it comfortable for the migrants in the city. Okay?
Russian roulette with human lives. It has been said, it has been quoted, that the Trumpites have decided to lock up Congress until they feel that their political savior wins. And in that moment, that they will look to better policies. But needless to say, what we've done in Chicago is simply do just a simple charitable measure, making sure that someone has a roof over their head, food to eat, and a bed to lay in. What we also witnessing in Chicago is what I call the dining in.
Now, the thing is that all of these people, right, all of this stuff that this guy is saying that, you know, they want to provide. For one, there's people in Chicago, in the Chicago homeless crisis, that don't have all of the things that this guy just listed, right? First of all, right? That's the first problem. Second of all, these people had all of those things that he just listed and then decided to leave home and come here where they don't have access to those things. So why would you do that? How many of us could leave knowingly without planning, put ourselves in a bad situation and have that bad situation and the bill taken care of for us by some outside entity and people in that outside entity that would be paying for it? None of us would have that happen. They would tell us, too bad, deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
Of the federal government. These bills have stacked up because of, again, a failed border policy, finances that have not come to deal with this federal crisis. And so to move people out of the shelter, to re-enter back through the same process is what we're doing here in Chicago. Yes, the space is tight, but what's even more disheartening to know is that, again, we're being left to do just basic needs for those who are in need, while at the same time helping Chicagoans. I mean, while, you know, we look at this crisis, we are also doing our due diligence, opening up mental clinics again. We're making sure that young people have jobs all year round for the first time in Chicago history. Thirdly, we have
now, I don't know if you guys saw the video that TD Hip Hop Media did, but TD Hip Hop Media did a video where he exposed this talking point of, quote unquote, having jobs for the young people in Chicago year round. That's a talking point, and that's not necessarily true. Also, remember, guys, anytime you watch the streams or anytime you guys watch the content, make sure that you watch it all the way through to the end. It'll take you into the next premiere window for the next scheduled stream. When you get there, make sure that you guys hit that like button. Make sure that you guys hit the bell so that you get notified and share to your social media so you have it all done before we even go live.
Officer reentry, helping those who are coming out of incarceration.
Shout out to Jesse. What's good with it, bro?
Services and even job placement. So we're managing a Chicago that's in need, while at the same time dealing with federal mayhem.
You know, and Alderman, you bring up such a good point, because the city of Chicago has to continue doing its work, the work that was, you know, going to happen regardless. It also now has to deal with, you know, so many migrants. So let's talk about how New York City plays into this. You know, they have this 30-day.
Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. What's going on with the Brooklyn Queen?
How do you think that could potentially impact Chicago?
Well, you know, we are the city of big shoulders. One thing, because this is a crisis, let's continue to remind America that this is something that we did not ask for. This is not an initiative to increase.
Actually, they didn't ask for the crisis, but they did ask for the influx of people by declaring themselves as a sanctuary city. That's not entirely true. Now, they didn't ask for the crisis, right? They did not ask for the crisis itself. That's true. However, they did ask to be used as a front line and a backup for the migrants who are in the United States, quote unquote, allegedly seeking asylum, by declaring themselves a sanctuary city. They don't get to get around that. You don't get to sit there and say that you didn't ask for this when you literally voted and chose for yourself to be a sanctuary city. How does that work? How do you get to do that? Somebody make that make sense. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, guys, give me a thumbs up. If that does not make any sense, then give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Black Spider. What's good with it, Black Spider?
The residency in Chicago. No, we are managing a crisis. And what happens in crisis management is you see
Shout
the
out to
character of
DC
leadership.
Precise.
I
What's
wanna commend
good
our
with it,
mayor.
bro?
And I want the world to know, and the nation to know that our mayor has taken on this crisis and has done the best that he can with what he has. And what he has is the support of NGOs, churches here in Chicago. What he has is a city with a big heart. Let's not forget that this great city called Chicago was founded by a migrant, somebody by the name of John Baptiste Point du Sable.
So they keep saying that Chicago was found by a migrant, when from my understanding, Chicago was found by a Creole person who came from Louisiana. Everybody with a French last name isn't a migrant. Everybody with a French last name is not French. Everybody with a French last name is not Haitian. You know what I'm saying? There's other people that have French last names. I mean, we're just going to act like the Louisiana Purchase, which was an entire French-speaking section of the United States, wasn't a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, make it make sense. So are we going to sit here and say Marie Laveau was a Haitian? Let me ask you guys this question. How many people know who Marie Laveau is? If you guys know who Marie Laveau is, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, then give me a thumbs down. My question is, quote unquote, was Marie Laveau a migrant? See, what they're doing with this migrant thing is they're taking all of the pre-current day United States history, mixing it all up, right? And then once they've mixed it up, they're taking the initial forming parts of it and trying to say that these people are migrants. No, like a lot of these places, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these places had different origins. However, these were American people. Marie Laveau was a black woman. She was Creole. You know what I'm saying? From Louisiana. You know what I mean? But this is what they doing. And these people ought to be ashamed of themselves, man. You're doing historical genocide to yourself. I mean, like, there's, to me, when I see stuff like this, it's bizarre because there's no paycheck that's worth that. Why would you do that? You already got enough going against you. And shout out to you guys. You guys got ×6 combo, man. Look at that. Shout out to y'all. ×6 combo. That's what's good, man. Cameron would be proud of y'all. Where Cameron Jones at? Cameron would be really proud of y'all.
So migrants and migrating to Chicago is a part of our history. But what is not a part of our history that we have once again bounced back and given our best is we've had to deal with the stinginess.
How is what? Did you guys hear what he said? Listen to this.
And migrating to Chicago is a part of our history.
Migrating to Chicago is a part of our history. How do you migrate inside of a country that you're from to another area? That's called moving. People move from Chicago to New York. People move from Chicago to LA. That's not migrating. Somebody make it make sense. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Mr. King. Please make sure you guys throw some flames, some radiation emoji in the chat for Mr. King for becoming a YouTube member. You guys know that really helps the channel out. We're starting to accumulate a lot of members on both channels. We're approaching 100 members. We should be able to get to 100 members on both channels by the end of February. The membership, the lowest tier is only 99 cents, and you'd be amazed how much it helps. You guys see what I do with the little that I have. Just imagine what I would do with a lot. So a membership is only 99 cents, is less than a super chat, and you get a free super chat every month with your membership. So, you know, I don't really, ask for money on the channel. It helps. I don't turn it down. Like my man Blade said, this ain't exactly the March of Dimes, but the more I got, the more I can do. So consider becoming a membership like Mr. King. Shout out to Mr. King. Definitely appreciate you sponsoring the channel. Show him some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji in the chat for him.
was founded by a migrant, somebody by the name of John Baptiste Point du Sable. And so migrants and migrating to Chicago is a part of our history. But what is not a part of our history that we have once again bounced back and given our best is we've had to deal with the stinginess. We've had to deal with disenfranchisement from the federal government. And we just want the federal government to do their job. Yeah. This was something that they caused. And so we're expecting a Congress to work together, bipartisanship.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, DC Precise. Would you guys agree with DC Precise? DC Precise says, I hate that dumbass talking point. We are the only people here that are not immigrants. Facts. And like I always say, for this individual right here, my question to you is, I want you to go to U.S. Customs and Immigration Services and pull all of your family's I-9 paperwork. This dude right here is more than likely a foundational Black American. No foundational Black Americans, unless you have one or two people in your family that could have possibly been, married in that was an immigrant. There's no I-9 paperwork at an immigration office for your family. Why do these people keep trying to say that we're immigrants? This is a country of immigrants. All of this nonsense. If foundational Black Americans are immigrants, we should be able to go to the Immigration's Customs Services office or website and pull information from our family, and we can't because there is none. You know what I'm saying? Make it make sense.
Expecting the president to stroke that pen to use as much executive orders. Look, we've asked for work permits, right? I mean, work authorization. And with the work authorization, once you leave a shelter, you'll be able to get a job. And, one thing I can say is that jobs are available here in Chicago, but without work authorization from the federal government, it makes it hard for those who are new arrivals to pay their fair share of taxes.
Well, Alderman, we're limited on time. And this is...
She basically telling the alderman that he's babbling because he is. You know what's people just need to start paying attention to how it's crazy that a lot of these aldermen, a lot of these government officials, a lot of these people, they will fight harder to try to remove resources from their Black constituents to provide to other people than they fight to get resources for their Black constituents. Do you guys notice that? Imagine if this dude fought as hard as he's fighting to take from Black Chicago to give to the migrants if he was fighting to secure resources for Black Chicago. Imagine that. Imagine how things would appear different. Isn't that crazy? Shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre said, yo, she looks scary as hell in that still shot. Oh, man. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, man, shout out to everybody. We got 36 people watching and we got 26 likes. If you guys have not smashed that like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. We got 39 people. We got to be at 50 likes. Smash that like button and get us to 50. Also, if you guys haven't shared the stream, please share the stream to your social media. Shout out to Dr. Grant. What's good with it, Dr. Grant? Good to see you.
Is such a complicated situation. There's so many layers to all of this. I know you said you would commend the mayor. There are a lot of people who would not commend the mayor, who are not happy with what he's done because there are so many different facets of all of this. Is there any viable solution actually in the works?
Well, again, the viable solutions that we have here in Chicago.
Nah, the reason why I was saying that, I was like, it looked like she having a little bit of fun, you know what I'm saying? And the camera accidentally caught her.
Is simply to maximize as much space as we have. Again, we've seen churches step up. We've seen the philanthropy community step up, but we need the federal government to step up.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television.
So there's that. All right. So now next, what we're going to look at is the unavoidable, right? What I'm going to do is when I do the after stream finalizations, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put cards that have playlists to pop up at certain points in this video. I don't know if you guys have been noticing, but I've been putting those in. What I want you guys to do is check out as much of those playlists as you guys can, because a lot of those playlists are old videos that I did that substantiate a lot of what's going on today. All right. A lot of these videos are old. Like I put a card up in a video that I did a couple days ago where we talked about Abbott versus Mayor Eric Adams, and that's still going on today. You know what I'm saying? This is a video from NBC. Flashing red light for Democrats. Chicago residents on Biden's handling of the migrant crisis. It's getting so bad for the Democrats and they're losing black support that now the mainstream media can no longer ignore it. They have to try to spin it. Now, what they're trying to do is they're trying to take the narrative and they're trying to twist it. They're trying to control the narrative to where they're trying to make it where it doesn't matter what we're actually saying. They want to make it where they're controlling the conversation. But as you can see, they're losing control of the conversation, and they need to lose control of everything. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to continue to keep pushing for that. Okay? We're going to continue to keep pushing for that, but it's inevitable now. It's not preventable. They have nowhere to go. They're completely backed into a corner. All of these mainstream media outlets are blowing these stories out of the water about how Democrat support is plummeting like it just jumped out of a plane. Now, I want to ask you guys a question. Do you all think that the sentiments in Chicago, as far as leaving the Democrat Party, do you all think that this is part of an ongoing and growing trend? If you think that it is, give me a thumbs up. If you think that it isn't, give me a thumbs down and let me know why you don't think that it is. Let's check this out.
Democratic Party, we're watching you.
Yeah.
We are disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
We are angry.
Yes.
We are offended. Mm-hmm. And we feel like we're being mistreated, misused, and disrespected.
So just so they don't get it twisted with their silly little surveys that they do, and remember, I think that it's important for us to take our own surveys and data. Do you all agree with what this woman said? If you guys agree with what this woman said, give me a thumbs up. We should get a times 36 combo. If you guys agree with what this woman said, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with what this woman said, give me a thumbs down and let me know why.
We will not continue to be disrespected by the Democratic Party. As I said yesterday, and I'll say today and tomorrow, if you're an independent candidate, Green Party candidate, Republican candidate, now is your time in this city.
Yeah.
Joining us now, the Chicago.
Shout out to who was it that said that? I think it was DeAndre. Yeah, DeAndre. Shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre said, yeah, that's our gangster granny. Shout out to her. Yeah, I think her name is Kata. It's either Kata or Kata Trust. You know what I'm saying?
Chicago resident. You just heard there, Kata Trust.
Yeah,
it's
Kata
really great
Trust.
to have you. Tell me what you are frustrated about specifically.
Well, one of the things that I'm frustrated about is the fact that the Biden administration is not handling the migrant crisis in a way that is good for them or the cities that the migrants are being sent to. I certainly don't want to demonize the migrants because not a lot of what is happening.
Now, check this out. What I think that should happen is that the black people from New York and the black people from Chicago, and if they can find any black people in, Denver, which there is some, you know what I'm saying? I think the two black people or the three black people from Denver actually watch the channel. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm just messing with y'all. You know what I'm saying? But they should get all of them together and file a federal lawsuit, another federal lawsuit, in addition to these smaller lawsuits that they're doing. They should coordinate on these things since they're all going through a similar experience. They could share resources and experience. You know what I'm saying? What do you guys think? If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Is their fault. I think that our mayor, our governor, as well as President Biden, has to step in and make some changes to what is happening right now.
Yeah, Phil
right
Scott
now,
had her on. Yep.
Borders are just open, and that people are freely coming in, and that there are no laws that are.
Shout out to you, Tia. What's good with it?
In terms of immigration. And so what is happening here in Chicago is that we are seeing our city spend up to $48 million a month to house and take care of migrants. Now, when you talk about the black.
Do you guys see $48 million? Let's do some math real quick. $48 million a month. What is that per year? But remember, they don't have any money. They don't have any money. They don't have any money, guys. Hold on real quick. Let's check this out real quick here. Let me see. Let's see what we got going on here. Hold on. All right, there we go. All right. Let's see. She said $48 million a month, right? $48 million a month times a year. $576 million per year. $576 million per year. That's ridiculous. I wouldn't mind, I wouldn't mind one of those millions. You know what I'm saying? What do you guys think that $576 million per year could be used on in Chicago? Drop some suggestions.
And so what is happening here in Chicago is that we are seeing our city spend up to $48 million a month.
$48 million a month. So that calculation that we just did is correct. So that big giant number that you guys just saw on the screen is the estimated yearly cost. The EYC, estimated yearly cost. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. That's definitely money that could go towards reparations. Facts. If you guys agree with John, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with John, give me a thumbs down.
House and take care of migrants. Now, when you talk about the Black communities here in the city of Chicago, and you talk about the years of disinvestment in our communities, in our schools, and all around us, and you see this amount of money being spent to people who have come from outside of this country, that is a problem for us. And I think that one of the reasons I got involved in this is because when you talk about coming into the Austin community, a community that has already been blighted and disinvested in, and talking about one of the major crown jewels of the community, you're talking about taking it away from the community to house migrants at a time where we're seeing increased crime because our children don't have things to do, they don't have jobs, and we're seeing this money being spent, and it's being spent on other people in communities that could really benefit for that money. Here in Chicago, I was sitting in a meeting with the Board of Education, and they talked about a $391 million shortfall that they're going to have this upcoming year.
Now, what do you guys think that $390 million shortfall is going to do to Chicago? Make any of this make sense. Everything that Ms. Cata Truss has said just now, to me, is a perfect reason. The government has been mainly Democrat in Chicago, and they've disinvested in this community that she's talking about. These people need to disinvest in the Democrats. These people need to disinvest in the Democrats. I think that it's too far gone. The relationship cannot be repaired. It's too late. And this is the icing on the cake. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 41 people watching and we got 32 likes. If everybody could take a moment, bang on that like button and get us to 60 likes, that would be great.
And when you look at the money that has been spent on the migrants, we have a problem with that. And I heard someone say earlier that here in Chicago, we're talking about turning away from the Democratic Party. I have already turned. I will be voting Republican this time around.
There you go. She has turned. Shout out to her, man. Throw some flames in the chat for her. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat for her. Now, I got a playlist on BLR1 that's called Decimate Democrats. You guys need to watch that playlist if you haven't already. Matter of fact, you may as well watch all the playlists, but that one, since elections coming up, make sure you guys check that one out.
And I don't think that that's just a sentiment of Cata Truss. I think that's the sentiment.
Shout out to JW. What's good with it, bro?
The entire United States. And basically, for years, the Democratic Party has taken our vote for granted, and they feel that they can continue to ignore us, not support us, not give us the things that we need in our communities, and we're going to continue to vote for them. We are not our grandparents. We're different.
Shout out to her, man. Facts. We are not our grandparents. We're different. Facts. And I agree, Deneen, that the Republicans won't provide any tangibles either. However, any action that, as of right now, that is showing that people are evolving from simply just dealing with the Democrats, hey, baby steps. Baby steps. You know what I'm saying? Baby steps. The baby don't come out walking. You know what I'm saying? The baby don't come out walking. You know what I'm saying?
And when we see that you don't have our best interests at heart, we're going to go elsewhere. I'm going elsewhere.
Kata, that's a big statement. If President Biden were listening right now, or the White House was listening, what would you tell them to try to get your vote back?
They are listening. They are listening. You know what I'm saying? They are listening. You know what I mean? This is state sanctioned media. You know what I'm saying? The former press secretary, Jennifer Psaki, works for this channel. They're listening. You know what I'm saying? Let's not get it twisted.
I don't know that they can get my vote back. I think that one of the
unless it's Baby Huey.
with this whole situation is when this started, I called my congressman, I called my step representative, I called my state senator, I called our Cook County commissioner, and I tried to sit down to meet with them. I even called our mayor. And I wanted to sit down and talk to them to find out if there was just something that I was missing, if there was some information that I needed in order to make me sit comfortably with what was happening. And nobody had time to sit down with me. Nobody had time to meet with me to discuss this issue. And so as important as this issue has become to the Black community, and the fact that our mayor, who I know, whom I supported, whom I donated money to his campaign, has not bothered to pick up the phone and to call me and to talk to me about what's happening, is a slap in the face for me. And so, no, I cannot support people who will not support me and my community.
I got to agree with her. Everything that she said is legitimate. Everything that she has said is valid. If you guys agree with her, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, the way that she's moving here, my question for you guys is, do you all see this happening as a wider trend? I do. I think that this is a ripple effect that the Democrats are not going to like. I don't think that they saw this coming. It is what it is. That's what you get. That's what happens when you underestimate people, when you don't see things coming. It is what it is. This is what happened. Shout out to Al McCowan. What's good with it, bro?
Kata Trust, Kata, thank you very much for joining us. Again, as I said at the top, a flashing red light for Democrats.
Yeah, flashing red lights for Democrats. Somebody get them some gauze because they're bleeding. All right, so Miss Kata Trust also did a segment with Fox News, which I'm sure Fox News was happy to have her on there, since she just basically said that she's going to be voting Republican. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what they talked about on Fox News, shall we? Let's see what they're talking about. Let's see what they time about.
More and more Black Democrats in Chicago are saying enough is enough when it comes to Biden's migrant crisis.
So in Chicago, illegal immigrants get laundry services, mental health screenings, housing subsidies, and a government ID.
Chicago resident Kata Trust.
Why do they get laundry services? Why do they, first of all, see, sometimes stuff is just so outlandish. You focus in on one thing and it kind of takes you out of the big picture. But I gotta get back to the big picture. But first, we gotta focus on the laundry services. I could use laundry services. How many of you guys could use laundry services? If you could use laundry services, give me a thumbs up. If you can't use laundry services and that's not something that you're interested in, give me a thumbs down. I could use laundry services. Why are they getting laundry services? Are you serious? Here goes a nice pile of folded clothes, pressed and ironed and dry cleaned with steam. Are you serious? Steam pressed. Here goes your dry cleaning. all nicely wrapped in plastic for you to hang up into your closet. Are you serious? Starched and pressed. What?
Government ID.
Chicago resident Kata Truss is one Democrat who teamed up with her neighbors, joined others to sue the city over plans to turn a community center into a migrant shelter. And she joins us now with an update on that case. Kata, thank you so much for being here. This shelter is a no-go. You and your neighbors made this happen. Just tell us what's going on with the shelter.
Well, right now, it's actually a Chicago Park District facility. And currently, the Park District facility is now up and running. Services are now going on. The children are back in the park. The senior citizens who have come to rely on that park for socialization and just being able to get back together after having.
Yeah. I got to agree with Deneen. This is the biggest FU from the Democrats that I've ever seen. And that FU should be F as in final. F as in this finalizes the severing of the umbilical cord. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Beach Material. What's good? Brooklyn Queen said, tied or gain, senorita. Right. Oh, man, that's crazy. Tied or gain. Would you like a Clorox stick with that? Like, are you serious?
Gone through COVID are not able to come back to the park.
So, Kata, is there a level of betrayal when you have, your park and your community center, and the leaders that were elected to represent you take that and give it to people who aren't from your community that came across the southern border? Is there a level of betrayal in that?
Well, first of all, of course, there's a level of betrayal because there was no forethought, no planning into this. And I have to really say that if Mayor Brandon Johnson had just picked up the phone and called the community that he comes from to ask us if that's something that he should be considering, we would have told him absolutely not. We would have told him that that is something that is not going to fly with the people here in this community. We are very dedicated to our parks and to our community. And so that was just something we were not going to go for. Also, the fact is that you are going to attempt to take over the park and not talk to the people, not come to the people, not offer any kinds of suggestions to help the people or to alleviate the stress of what's already going on in a blighted and disinvested in community, and to say to us, hey, listen, we got these migrants here, we need some place to put them, and we're going to just take your park. The people here in this community said absolutely not. I went to a meeting with the
I'm glad that they stood up for themselves and didn't let them take that park. That actually made me really happy to see. I'm glad that they won that battle, and I hope that they win many more battles. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, that I was really, 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 really happy to see that. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of you guys probably were too, but that was a highlight. You know what I'm saying?
Alderman, the community, and we came together after the meeting was over, and it was evident that the city had intentions to do this no matter what the people said. I got up the next day, and one of my neighbors went with me. We went down to the Circuit Court of Cook County, and we filed a motion to stop this from happening.
Kata, what you and your neighbors have experienced and are experiencing is being felt by people across this country, small towns and big cities. And what do you say to President Biden and quite frankly, the people who have opened the border and have let this happen to communities from sea to shining sea?
Well, what I say to President Biden and the entire Democratic Party is that you have missed the mark with this, and you have lost some very committed voters. I myself will be voting Republican in this upcoming election. I have just made up in my mind that this crisis taught me that the Democratic Party will continue to take the voices of the voters for granted.
Now, let me ask you guys this. Here's my first question. First question, do you agree with her? If you guys agree with her, give me a thumbs up. And second question is, what do you guys think, if anything, the Democrats could possibly do in order to win people's votes back? Is there anything that they could do, or is it over for the Democrats? If it's over for the Democrats, give me an angry face in the comment section.
out to every elected official that represents us in this area to sit down and have a conversation about what was happening. And my phone calls went unanswered. No meetings took place. No elected officials stood up or stood with us to fight with us. And even after having gone to City Hall with hundreds of people saying, listen, this is not working. We need to end Chicago City sanctuary city status, at least until we have a hold on what's happening here, at least until we have found a place for the migrants who have already come. And that was back in October. And so buses are still arriving. We are now at 33,000 migrants that have embraced themselves in the city of Chicago, and we really have no means to take care of them. We don't have an adequate place for those people to stay. And so to continue to have them come here, to me, just does not make any sense. And so when you say that to both local government as well as the President Biden, and no one is listening, you know, we the people have to say, well, you know what? If you're not going to listen to us, then we're going to need to take our votes elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, everything that she said is absolutely logical. It's absolutely logical. There is nothing that any Democrat can say that debunks anything that she says. Now, here goes the most important question. Can we sit here and say that Mrs. Cata Trust is a Russian bot? Now, they can sit here and talk about us. These news media outlets like MSNBC and Joy Reid and all that can sit there and say that we're misinformation outlets and that we're Russian bots and we're disinformation attempting to try to affect the election, despite the fact that many of us have YouTube channels that don't talk about this kind of stuff during the election, except for when it's election season, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? Can we say that Miss Cata Trust is a Russian bot? Can we can't do that. The Russian bot thing doesn't work when we're talking about actual generational people that have been living in Chicago, that have been dealing with this stuff, that are experiencing everything that we talk about on our YouTube channels or our social media or Twitter or whatever. So what do we do? So what does Joy Reid and MSNBC do about now people like Cata Trust are making their voice heard?
You know what, Kata? When you have people in need in your community, whether it's with housing or food, and you're giving people who aren't from this country laundry services, you should be outraged. Thank you for filing a suit and standing up and pushing back and fighting back. Good for you. Cata Trust, thanks for being with us.
We'll see you soon.
All right, so there's that. All right. So now next, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this article from Newsweek. And this article from Newsweek is very interesting because I don't know if anybody is aware, but the Democrats have been running propaganda. They've been running misinformation, and they want to try to control the minds of many people. All right. The Democrats and their cronies want people to blame everything that's going on currently on Governor Abbott. Now, Governor Abbott does have a part to play in this, and he could go about these things differently, and he is being an asshole because he's an asshole. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the migrant crisis is not his fault. That is not a true statement. The Democrats are trying to say that the migrant crisis is his fault, which is completely insane. You know what I'm saying? It's not his fault. If anything, he's one of the people on the front line that's at least tried to confront it and make a difference. And he's even not getting any cooperation with the federal government. They're on the side of the migrants trying to cut down the razor wire. You know what I'm saying? Chicago residents are rejecting blaming Greg Abbott for the migrant crisis. Now, if you ask me, this is a good thing. Why is this a good thing? It's not a good thing because they reject blaming Greg Abbott for the migrant crisis. Greg Abbott he's an asshole. However, what it shows is that people are evolving to where the propaganda does not work. Would you guys agree that this is an indication that people are evolving to the point where the propaganda does not work? If you guys agree that this is an indication that they are losing control of the propaganda hold that they have on people, and now people are starting to look for alternative information and try to seek the truth through extra propaganda means, means outside of the mainstream state-sanctioned propaganda, give me a thumbs up. If you think that this is a bad thing, give me a thumbs down and let me know why. All right. So now here it says numerous Chicago residents, including multiple Black Democrats, have sued the city in response to the influx of migrants, and they blame President Joe Biden, not people like Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Putting the blame on Joe Biden is exactly where the blame needs to go. They have Joe Biden in their crosshairs, which is exactly where Joe Biden needs to be, as well as other Democrats. Abbott has been arguably the loudest voice against the Biden administration's immigration policies, which resulted in about 300,000 migrants, nearly 10,000 per day, coming to the United States through Mexico in December alone. Federal border agents encountered about 2.5 million migrants in total last year, according to data from Customs and Border Protection, surpassing the previous record high from a year earlier. Abbott recently ordered Texas Department of Public Safety troopers to arrest single men and single women illegally crossing the southern border into the Shelby Park area of Eagle Pass, a hotspot for migrants entering the country. Last week, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton refused the Biden administration's efforts to reclaim control of the area following the drowning of 3 migrants attempting to cross the border through the Rio Grande. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, along with others like New York City Mayor Eric Adams, have called on the federal government for more assistance as Abbott has bused some 80,000 migrants to Democratic-controlled cities for the past year and change. The lack of care that they display, the lack of care that's been on display for the last year and a half created an incredible amount of chaos, Johnson said in December, according to the Associated Press. Now, here goes my question. Do you guys agree with Brandon Johnson? If you guys agree with Brandon Johnson, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with Brandon Johnson, give me a thumbs down. Brandon Johnson, in that instance, is just repeating Democrat talking points, just repeating Democrat propaganda. That's all he's doing. No more, no less. You know what I'm saying? No more, no less. And real quick, shout out to everybody. We got 55 people watching and we got 41 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button and get us to 70, that would be great. Shout out to DeAndre for being a like enforcer. Enforce them likes, because you know YouTube is crazy. Newsweek reached out to Johnson's office via email for comment, and of course he didn't say anything back. There are at least 7 lawsuits against the city of Chicago. See that? Including 3 filed by people of color. Who are the people of color? According to the Free Press. One was filed by Chicago West Side resident Cata Truss, a 57-year-old mother. So we all know who Miss Cata Truss is. Another was filed by a former Texas U.S. House of Representative candidate J. Darnell Jones, a Democrat, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion strategist, and reparations proponent who lives in Chicago's South Side. What the Democratic Party doesn't want Black people to hear is that this is a Biden policy, Jones told the Free Press. Biden is allowing the borders to remain open, and that's facts. That's facts. What that guy said is absolutely facts. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to DSB. Make sure you guys show DSB some love. Throw some radiation emoji and some flames in the chat for DSB. Definitely appreciate the double ducats, my man. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to Carla Lockhart. Oh, man, we got the $2 challenge. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man DSB. He said, hit them likes or you love them aliens. You know what I'm saying? Hey, since those buses transport aliens, is it safe to call them UROs, unidentified rolling objects? Let me know in the comment section what y'all think. So now here it says the 52-year-old said the influx hit home for it. Wait, hold on. Okay, the 52-year-old said the influx hit home for him and his neighbors, some 94% of whom are Black, when a local abandoned high school intended by locals to become a community center was instead reformulated into a migrant shelter. There was just some level of disgust, Jones says. The community has wanted this building back for so long, and now you want to use this in a way that will be harmful. There was no way that we were going to stand for that. They say it's Abbott, but those migrants couldn't even be getting through if it wasn't for Biden. That's a fact. That right there, that shuts it down right there. They can't get around that. That's true. They ran into a brick wall with that one. That right there is true. And I think for the most part, in most of the content, we've done a very competent job of showing that. I think that we've done a very competent job of showing that. A briefing from Johnson's office dated January 19th of this year and obtained by Politico highlights an intended shift in Chicago's migrant-related policies as the city has been inundated with more than 34,000 new arrivals since August of 2022. Of the 608 buses that left states like Texas to Chicago, 501 made trips since May 12th of 2023, and countless migrants have been housed at one of the city's 28 shelters that, as of December 22nd, were not being provided additional beds. The migrants have not just been transported to Chicago proper, but also to 20 plus towns in more than 7 Chicago areas. And I'm going to try to get the streams up about what's being done in the suburbs, okay? Because it's going down in the suburbs of Chicago, and in the suburbs of Chicago, they're doing things, putting measures in place to block and make sure that those migrants aren't able to get through. Okay. Yeah, and I gotta agree. This is a great question. Federal government is standing in the way of everything Abbott is doing to manage this invasion. How can they blame him? Yeah. Facts. Operation Lone Star has been going on for a long time. Shout out to everybody that's a member. You know what I'm saying? If you're a member, if you're part of the green team, throw some green or throw the member emojis in the chat. The members have access to all of the videos that I've been doing on the migrant crisis. If you guys go back and watch all of the old school videos, it's very obvious why we're where we are. You know what I'm saying? It's very obvious why we're where we are. Deidre Ballman, working as a pro bono legal counsel for Trust, told Newsweek via email that she was asked to look at multiple individuals' lawsuits against the city. It was clear that they would not get the relief they were seeking without legal assistance, Bowman said. I stepped up and immediately filed an emergency motion for a temporary restraining order and amended complaint. We briefed the issues and presented an oral argument. She said the judge in the case never actually ruled because they are a city site. A Munson Park Fieldhouse was taken off the table as a migrant shelter and programming continued as usual. A Munson Park was a unique situation because it was a park district property which was established for the public use and enjoyment of park and recreational facilities, she added. If the city and park district had moved forward with their plans, which they certainly were intending to do before we proceeded with the lawsuit, they had suspended programming, among other things. They would have deprived the historically underserved community of a much-needed resource in favor of the migrants. Because the city and park district changed course and we received the relief we were seeking, we dismissed the complaint. We were successful because of strong legal advocacy and the strength and determination of the community. Okay. During an interview this month with CBS News, Johnson was asked if the continued shelter and other amenities like healthcare for migrants was sustainable. What do you guys think? They're asking questions. We know the answer to these questions. Shout out to Val. What's good with it, Val? We know the answer to these questions. None of this stuff is sustainable. You know what I'm saying? Well, I think you've answered it, Johnson said. No, it's not sustainable. Now, mind you, this is an unsustainable problem, yet and still it doesn't seem like anybody can come to a consensual solution to deal with this problem. It doesn't seem like anybody can come to a consensual conclusion to deal with this problem. And it doesn't seem like anybody is trying to come to a consensual conclusion to deal with this problem, which means that it's just gonna, whatever happens, happens. It's just gonna stay open and stay open and stay open until something snaps and breaks. Okay? Congress does not have to act. If they do not act, this is going to continue to cause the type of chaos that the governor of Texas wants to do. In his statements, echoed what he told CNN in December, saying that he has attempted to provide calm around what has become a chaotic situation. I wouldn't say that this has become a chaotic situation. I would say that this has been a chaotic situation, and now they have to deal with it at their front door. And it seems like it's urgent, but it's not urgent because it's been going on forever. Again, like I said, this has been going on forever. I'm one of the few channels on YouTube that's been talking about the migrant crisis since before YouTube algorithm was providing financial reward for doing it. You know what I'm saying? This has been going on forever. Now it's just to the point where it can no longer be ignored. The situation has gotten so big. The situation has gotten so visible. It's right on people's front doorstep. Shout out to Black Spider. It's right on their front doorstep, and it can no longer be ignored. So now it's an emergency. You know what I'm saying? I've said repeatedly we need more resources, he said. Without real significant investment from our federal government, it won't just be the city of Chicago that won't be able to maintain this mission. It's the entire country that is now at stake. So now, again, remember a couple months ago, we said Brandon Johnson is going to start sounding more like Eric Adams because all roads lead to the same place. This is a math problem. And as much as people may like to, have their opinions on certain things, there is no opinion when it comes to math. There's the right answer and the wrong answer. And they've been doing the wrong answer with this forever. And this is what you see when a wrong answer continues to be used. You know what I'm saying? I've said repeatedly we need more resources, he said. Without real significant investment from our federal government, it won't just be the city of Chicago that won't be able to maintain this mission. It's the entire country that is now at stake. On Monday, Illinois Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker said that he was deeply concerned about Johnson's plans to not open any additional shelters, part of a wider rift in the city and how the city and state continue to handle migrants entering their borders. So now, what do you guys think that Governor J.B. Pritzker means when he says he's, quote unquote, deeply concerned about Johnson's plan to not open any more additional shelters? Why don't Governor Pritzker, if he's so concerned about it, make those suburbs open up more shelters and dump those people in the suburbs? Facts. Shout out to Val. Yeah, Val will tell you, been covering this for almost over a year, probably 2 years. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is check out the playlist, the Undocumented Bros, and check out the playlist called Immigration. You know what I'm saying? The city has not told the state where they would like us to put our resources to build new shelters, Pritzker said on Monday, according to the Chicago Tribune. So we can't help if they don't identify those locations. They can look them up themselves if they want to. You know what I'm saying? But they don't want to. It's easier to just use Chicago as a dumping ground. It's easier if they just use Chicago as a dumping ground. And that's what they want to do. So that's what they're going to try to do. You know what I'm saying? So what I need you guys to do is let me know what you guys think. All right. If you're watching this on the replay, make sure that you hashtag replay. All right. Don't move a muscle. Let the stream take you into the next premiere window. That stream will be live tomorrow at 9:55 in the morning. We're going to be talking about some interesting stuff going on in Russia. I want to give a shout out to everybody that came through here. Hit that like button for the final time. Shout out to my man DSB for holding us down. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Mr. King for becoming a new member. Membership is only 99 cents, and we're getting close to 100 members on both channels. Help us get there. If you're watching this on the replay, don't be afraid. Become a member. Shout out to DSB with the double ducats. Shout out to DSB for the quadruple ducats. And shout out to Val Williams with the buzzer beater. All right. I definitely appreciate it. Throw some fire radiation emojis in the chat for all of the stream sponsors. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
up in this life. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all on tour. Got demons. Say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. I'm the realest from my city. That's on my knee. That's on TV. That's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me. Come and see me. I been dodging all that fake. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Flexing for what feature? That's like every other week. Talk behind my back. I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him.